It's time to hit the jackpot because you're listening to How to Bet, hosted by Daryl Sean and Sean Miller, breaking down betting into 4 categories to help you stay ahead of the game, sharing their thoughts, opinions, and analysis on how to bet it, where to bet it, and who to bet on. Now here are your hosts, Daryl Sean and Sean Miller.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to How to Bet or HowToBet.com podcast. I'm Daryl Sean along with Sean, the genius Miller, and Neri Rodriguez. And folks, we appreciate you joining us again. It is a great tournament. It's been a great tournament so far. We said in the beginning that there is a chance, because it's so wide open that on 11, which is the largest, the highest seed that's ever advanced, 11 could get in again. Well, guess what? At this point, a 15 can get in to the Final Four. It's still possible. So yes, but that being said, also Sean, there's still 3 number 1 seeds out there that are left. With Baylor, the only one getting the axe last weekend. So it is an interesting tournament. Remember, you're watching us on YouTube. Hit that like button, the notification bell, the subscribe button. Subscribe. Go to HowToBet.com for various promotions around the country. All kinds of promotions from various sportsbooks around the country, including the ones you see scrolling on the bottom of FanDuel. And I believe we have Betfred today, or PointsBet. So there are 2 exclusive promotions at HowToBet.com. So PointsBet along with FanDuel. So Sean, interesting. I said broke about even on the first round. I did much better on the weekend games. It does get a little easier, and I'm pretty confident going into the Sweet 16 as well. You?
Yeah, I am. I mean, the only 2 bets I placed on region winners are still alive, and I had some big upsets on the weekend.
I know we both had Arizona on future bets. That got a little hairy. TCU played really well. Arizona didn't play great, and they win in overtime on a big shot. Mather in a big shot, and then they win it in overtime. So that got a little hairy for anybody that had future bets on Arizona. Yeah,
and obviously I have North Carolina to win the East, and that's still live. Even though the refs tried to do everything possible.
You are a UNC guy. I'm not, but I will tell you that was really one-sided officiating. You have to give Baylor credit for coming back from 25, but that really was poorly officiated.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, you're sitting there and there's nothing you could do. I mean, they were North Carolina was getting fouled on every inbounds play, and they just weren't called. They were just letting them play. And then on the other side, every time North Carolina touched them, I mean, it's it was bad.
It was bad.
North Carolina wins that game by if it's a flagrant one and Manic.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think I don't think that warranted an ejection.
No, it's just crazy. It changes the whole game, and then they foul out Love. A minute later, and that's what happened. I mean, if Manic gets a flagrant one, he scores 40 points in the game. To be honest, I'm glad he got the rest now. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's gonna drop 50 against them. So, but I mean,
folks, let's remember he is a North Carolina guy, but he has been right.
If he doesn't get ejected in that game, they win that game by 30 against Baylor. Easy. They were winning by 25 at that point, and Manic was gonna go for. He had 27 they couldn't stop him. It was crazy.
No,
so
I agree. It was really poorly officiated.
It's crazy to me too, because I mean, when you talk about the 1 seeds left, I mean, there's, Villanova is a top 10 team. Gonzaga is a top 10 team, all year. Arizona obviously is a top 10 team. Houston's been a top 10 team. Texas Tech's a top 10 team. Duke's a top 10 team. Purdue's a top 10. Kansas, Providence has been. UNC started the year as one, and it's just. You see these lines, and it's just UNC is still an underdog against UCLA. I just don't get it. There's some other ones that are weird too.
Well, UCLA, big year last year in the tournament. They did struggle game 1 against Akron. They did look good in game 2, so that's that. But we'll get.
I just think people, the sports books just think people look at the numbers next to the name, 8 for North Carolina and 4 for UCLA, and 5, 11 for Michigan and 2 for Villanova. But at this point now, that's not the way it is. Like you got to.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably something to that. There are more people betting that don't usually bet that you're seeing this time of year. So let's start breaking down the regions. Let's break down the West to start things off. Here you have a number 1 seed in Gonzaga. Gonzaga really went through the motions in game 1 against Georgia State at halftime. Then they blew it open. Seemed like, well, they had a tougher opponent against Memphis in game 2. They were down by 10 at halftime. They came out again in the second half and did away with a athletic Memphis team. I don't know that they're great basketball players, but they're certainly athletic. Gonzaga did what they had to do. They're a number 1 seed. I don't think they're clearly they are. We'll look at that. They're going to be the favorite going in still. They're certainly not. They shouldn't be a clear favorite, but they will be taking on a team that is kind of been flying under the radar. This Arkansas team, they came in as a number 4 seed. They did what they had to in game 1 against Vermont, a game that was close throughout. And then they took on New Mexico State and beat them by 5. So it's a 1 and a 4. Gonzaga is a 9-point favorite. The total is 154.5. I mean, Arkansas, again, close games, first 2 games. Teams that they were favored against, close games again. They did not cover. What do you see?
At some point, Gonzaga is going to cover and they're just going to blow somebody out. But I just, you keep betting them and you keep getting burned by them. So,
yeah, I mean that the game against Georgia State was one of the worst bad beats you can get if you had Gonzaga. It was a horrible bad beat in the end. But I
took Arkansas last night on by the book. Plus 9. I think I said I don't really love the game here. I mean,
I don't love
Gonzaga
the game.
It's going to beat somebody at some point. They're going to cover it at some point by 17. They're going to win this game by 17 or whatever. It's hard to read this game. I just think it's either going to be close or Gonzaga wins easy.
I'll tell you, I kind of like the over in this game. I could see Gonzaga getting to 85 points in this one, and if they do, I do think. I think it could be 85, and that's all 85, 75, something like it. I think
if Gonzaga scores, I don't think Arkansas covers.
I think it's I'm going to go over the 154.5. It's a big total, but I think I'm going to go over in this. But I do agree. I don't think at a 9, the way Gonzaga has been playing, it went up from 8.5 to 9. I don't like the game, but I will go over the total.
I would probably take team total over too, Gonzaga. This game's really hard. I've been flip-flopping on this back and forth. If Gonzaga at some point is going to win a game by 15, 17 points, it could be this game. It could be in the regional final, but I don't think they lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting off to slow starts. Their first halves have not been good. So let's see if Mark Few can get his guys wake up early in this one. Neri, any opinion?
Yeah, Gonzaga's playing well. That number 1 seed. I don't buy if they'll win the whole thing. They should be able to handle Arkansas. I think it's going to be a lot closer than 9 points.
Okay, so you like Arkansas on that. All right, so let's go stay in the West. These games being played in San Francisco on Thursday night, by the way. Let's stay in the West. Let's go to the Texas Tech Duke game. Now, this is a really intriguing game. This could be the game of the night. Duke's playing very well. I had Duke against Michigan State, and I'll tell you what, that if you had Michigan State, you have to be sick about that beat too. On the other end, I had Duke, so I was happy about it. Down the stretch, if you had Duke, they had to do everything exactly the way it needed to be done to win your bet, and they did, and they won by 9. It was a 6.5 point line. They won by 9 with Michigan State had the ball. I mean, they could have launched a shot too, with about 4 seconds left, but they dribbled it out. So everything went perfect in the end if you had Duke, not so much if you had Michigan State. Texas Tech playing so very well, especially defensively, although Notre Dame gave them a heck of a time. Texas Tech, a 1-point favorite at this point, 136.5 is the total.
This is my favorite. I love Texas Tech here. I think the Big 12.
They represent themselves pretty well.
I think we've kind of we talk about the Big Ten, the big fraud. How just fraudulent that league is, and the Big 12 is shown. I mean, obviously, talking to Eggle the other day about this, Kansas. I don't know, maybe Kansas isn't that good, but Kansas play, they won that league, and that league's been tough. Texas Tech, obviously, Iowa State's still in it. Baylor coming back, obviously banged up. I mean, if they weren't banged up, they probably would have been the 1 seed here, overall 1 seed if they didn't get everybody hurt. But I love Texas Tech here. I don't see Duke. I think this is going to be.
This is it for Coach K, huh?
Yeah, I'll probably throw a couple alternate wager lines up here, and maybe Texas Tech by 4, Texas Tech by 6, something like that. I think they win this relatively easily.
Okay, and it's interesting because that's one of your best bets, or maybe your best bet on Thursday for sure. I'll go the other way. I think Duke is playing well. They're very talented. I wasn't high on them going in because again, the ACC was not terrific. Although the ACC has represented themselves pretty well in this tournament, I'm going to go with Duke. I just think they're a better team. Texas Tech is a little bit offensively challenged. They're terrific defensively. But I just think Duke has the bodies to do it. They can beat you from inside. They can beat you from outside. The 136.5 is interesting because Duke can score some points. Texas Tech, though, as I said, a terrific defensive team. To me, that 136.5 is scary, but I'm going to take Duke to win this game.
137.5. It went up a little bit.
Okay, 137.5.
At some point too, we talked about the Mountain West the other day, but I mean, just saying about the Big Ten, I mean, at some point these leagues have to get called out, and you got to start giving maybe a chance to some of these other leagues. And giving a chance to maybe these teams that show out well in these tournaments. I mean, the Big Ten, everybody always they get all these teams, and then they always poop the bed.
Yeah, Big Ten has proven over and over again they are when it comes to tournament time they don't show up. You saw the Mountain West 4 teams in it, which some people said, how can you put 4 teams in? And they were 0 for 4. I think that will hurt them going forward on Selection Sunday.
When you get these leagues where they beat up on each other and they get a lot of good wins, they get quality, it comes down to, they get these quality wins. And that metric has to maybe change because, of course, if you're playing, 20 games against, teams that are ranked and teams that are in the tournament, you're going to get probably 10 wins or 8 wins or something like that. And that's not, but they're not really quality wins. They're just wins over some team that's ranked and, that beat up on cupcakes in the early season, and then they get 20 wins.
Yeah, I agree. The metrics probably should change a little bit there. So let's take a look at the odds to win the West, to come out of the West. You see Gonzaga, as we scroll underneath, Gonzaga minus 165, Texas Tech great value at plus 400, Duke at great value at plus 400, and then Arkansas plus 1,000. Nobody's really giving them a shot to win this. But Gonzaga, the clear favorite according to Vegas to come out of this bracket.
Yeah, I'd take a shot on Texas Tech. I think. I mean, obviously, Gonzaga. At this point now, I mean, at minus 165, I think it's a little bit late to the party. I know there's a lot of people that like betting those. Some of the guys on some sites you see I'm going to lay 165 to win 100, but man, if you lose that bet, you're throwing away half your bankroll. It's crazy.
So that's tough. It's tough to take a favorite that big.
You had to have taken Gonzaga early before the tournament started to come out of the thing. It's the same thing with some of these other teams. I mean, it's the ship has almost sailed at this point, and you're almost better off taking a little bit of shot. Bet $20 on
low value. I agree. So that is the West. Remember, like us, hit that notification bell, subscribe. We appreciate it. Go to howtobet.com for exclusive offers to various sports books around the nation, including our FanDuel and our Best Bets promos, as you see scrolling underneath. We'll be back to break down the South after this. Go to howtobet.com.